Paul Mescal bluntly appraises his meeting with the king at Gladiator 2 premiere. Irish actor Paul Mescal says meeting King Charles was not on his list of priorities. The 28-year-old star was introduced to the reigning monarch at the Gladiator 2 world premiere in London last week. The historical epic picks up 20 years after the Oscar-winning original and marks Mescal's first big studio movie after success in TV and independent film, playing Roman warrior Lucius Verus. Talking about his brush with royalty on the red carpet, Mescal told U.S. outlet Variety he did not see it coming. Speaking at the film's Los Angeles premiere, Mescal said, "How wild is it? It's definitely not something that I thought was in the bingo cards. I'm Irish, so it's not on the list of priorities." He then swiftly turned the answer to the film's 86-year-old director, Ridley Scott, saying, "It's an amazing thing for Ridley because I know how important that is for him. So, to see his film celebrated in that context was pretty special." Ahead of the premiere, both Mescal and Scott had enjoyed a champagne reception at Buckingham Palace, and so were already in a celebratory mood on their arrival. Due to the large number of people at the event, Mescal admitted it was also hard to hear what was being said during his exchange with the king, so he was nodding along and smiling. The world premiere was held in aid of the film and TV charity, which celebrates its 100th anniversary this year, and marked the first premiere Charles attended as king. The king also met with Mescal's co-stars including Oscar winner Denzel Washington and Narcos actor Pedro Pascal. Other celebrities to attend included actor Joseph Fiennes and TV presenter Claudia Winkleman. Reviews of the film have been mixed thanks to its more is more attitude to CGI and OTT storylines, but there is broad agreement that audiences will leave the cinema somewhat entertained. Mescal said being part of the movie was a wildly overwhelming experience. Sir Ridley, who cast Mescal in the role, told his reason for choosing him was that he saw aspects of a young Albert Finney in him. The original Gladiator starred Russell Crowe as Roman General Maximus Decimus Meridius. The Australian actor does not return for the sequel. Joaquin Phoenix also had a starring role in the first film, which Scott later admitted he nearly walked out of. Both Mescal and Scott have teased that they would both be up for a third film. U.S. and other embassies in Kiev closed amid warning of significant air attack. The U.S. and some other Western embassies in Kyiv have been closed amid fears Russia is preparing a major air attack on the Ukrainian capital. It comes a day after a major strike by Ukraine on Russian territory in the ongoing war in Eastern Europe. Ukraine fired 6 U.S.-made long-range ATACMS missiles at the Bryansk region on Tuesday, the Russian Defense Ministry claimed. The U.S. has given Kyiv permission to use such weapons against targets deep inside Russia in a move which has been denounced by Moscow as an escalation in the conflict. America has also now allowed Ukraine to use U.S.-supplied anti-personnel landmines to help in the fight against Russian forces. British-made Storm Shadow missiles have also been fired into Russian territory by Ukraine for the first time. Amid the Russian threat, the UK government said its embassy remained open, but the Italian, Spanish and Greek embassies had shut while the German embassy remained open in a limited capacity. The American delegation said it had received a specific warning of a potentially significant air attack amid ongoing Russian missile and drone attacks on Kyiv. Out of an abundance of caution, the embassy will be closed, and embassy employees are being instructed to shelter in place, the U.S. Department of State Consular Affairs said in a statement. The U.S. Embassy recommends U.S. citizens be prepared to immediately shelter in the event an air alert is announced. In a separate decision on Wednesday over U.S.-supplied landmines, the Biden administration said it was made in response to a change in tactics by the Russians. The war, which reached its 1,000-day milestone on Tuesday, has taken on a growing international dimension with the arrival of North Korean troops to help Russia on the battlefield, a development which prompted the U.S. policy shift. Russian President Vladimir Putin has lowered the threshold for using his nuclear arsenal. This permits a potential nuclear response by Moscow even to a conventional attack on Russia by any nation supported by a nuclear power. New York priest who allowed Sabrina Carpenter to film provocative music video stripped of duties. The leader of a church in New York where pop star Sabrina Carpenter filmed a provocative music video has been relieved of his duties. An investigation into Monsignor Jamie Gigantiello of the Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church in Brooklyn was launched after he gave permission for U.S. singer Carpenter to film the video to her hit song, Feather, last year. Mr. Gigantiello has now been stripped of any oversight or governance role after an investigation carried out into the video, which at the time appalled the diocese, a group of churches in an area led by a bishop. In the video for Feather, released in the U.S. on October 31st, Carpenter pull-ups in front of the church in the Williamsburg neighborhood in a pink hearse. She is then seen dancing in front of the altar in front of fake coffins while wearing a short black dress and veil. Meanwhile, a broader review into the Monsignor, an honorary title given to a priest by the Pope to recognize their service to the Catholic Church, has uncovered other instances of mismanagement and administrative impropriety. Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Brooklyn Robert Brennan said in a statement on Monday that Mr. Gigantiello allegedly used the church's credit card for substantial personal expenses. He added that from 2019 to 2021 the Monsignor allegedly transferred $1.9 million in parish funds to bank accounts affiliated with Frank Carone, the former chief of staff of New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who is being investigated on charges of corruption. Adams was arrested in September, while still serving as mayor. He faces charges of conspiracy, wire fraud and bribery, including letting Turkish officials and businesses buy his influence with illegal campaign contributions and lavish overseas trips. Federal investigators have subpoenaed the Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church seeking information about Mr. Carone and Mr. Gigantiello's financial dealings, though neither has been accused of any wrongdoing. Most Rev. Brennan claims Mr. Gigantiello failed to seek prior approval for the transactions and didn't properly document them, in violation of the diocese's investment policies and protocols. The Monsignor has also been cut from his pastoral duties, but will still be able to say Mass with permission of the parish's new administrator, Bishop Witold Mroziewski. Seeming to make light of the situation in September, Carpenter told a crowd at one of her shows in Manhattan, "Should we talk about how I got the mayor indicted?" Paddington statue moved to Cardiff Castle so more families can enjoy him. A Paddington statue has been moved from a location where it spent most of the day locked up. The statue, which arrived in Cardiff to promote the latest Paddington film, was initially erected at St. John's Gardens in the city centre. The area is open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Saturday and closed all day on Sunday. Some people had wanted the statue's hours to be extended, and Business Development Service for Cardiff opened the gardens for an extra day due to its popularity. For Cardiff posted on Facebook that it was working with Cardiff Council to explore the possibility of finding him a new home while he's in Cardiff. A Cardiff Council spokesperson said they were pleased to have worked with For Cardiff and Studio Canal to find Paddington a new home at Cardiff Castle for the duration of his visit to Cardiff. The castle grounds are free to access and open 7 days a week, meaning even more families can enjoy visiting him, they added. Dozens of people visited the statue on Wednesday, including Katie Wise, who was visiting the UK from California. She said the character was very beloved to her as she had her own 44-year-old Paddington bear toy. "I bought my Paddington bear when my son was born, and I placed my son next to my Paddington bear and he was smaller than the bear," she told. Noka Nikisi, who lives in Cardiff, said it was pretty cool to see the fictional bear up close. "I'd seen on TikTok that he was in the gardens by the cemetery. It's definitely a better location for it at the castle because you've obviously got Winter Wonderland in here," he added. Egyptians drank cocktails of psychedelic drugs in ancient mugs, research reveals. An Egyptian mug from 2,000 years ago was last used to serve up a cocktail of psychedelic drugs, according to groundbreaking research. University of South Florida professor Davide Tanasi used advanced chemical analysis on what's known as a best mug cups left behind by ancient Egyptians. The mugs are decorated with the head of Bes, an ancient Egyptian god or guardian demon worshipped for protection, fertility, medicinal healing, and magical purification. Historians have only ever been able to speculate about the mug's contents, with some believing they were used to hold sacred water, wine, or beer, according to Branko van Oppen, curator of Greek and Roman art at the Tampa Museum of Art. But through scraping chemical and DNA analysis from the inner walls of a mug donated to the Tampa Museum of Art in 1984, Professor Tanasi and his research team discovered a cocktail of psychedelic drugs, bodily fluids, and alcohol. It's a combination that he believes was used in a magical ritual reenacting an Egyptian myth, likely for fertility, based on both the findings and written records detailing centuries-old myths. The concoction was flavored with honey, sesame seeds, pine nuts, licorice, and grapes, he said, which were commonly used to make the beverage look like blood. For the first time, we were able to identify all the chemical signatures of the components of the liquid concoction contained in the Tampa Museum of Art's best mug, including the plants used by Egyptians, all of which have psychotropic and medicinal properties, Professor Tanasi explained. This research teaches us about magic rituals in the Greco-Roman period in Egypt, Mr. Van Oppen said. Egyptologists believe that people visited the so-called best chambers at Saqqara when they wished to confirm a successful pregnancy because pregnancies in the ancient world were fraught with dangers. So, this combination of ingredients may have been used in a dream vision-inducing magic ritual within the context of this dangerous period of childbirth, he continued. Civil plane goes supersonic for the first time since Concorde. A civil plane has gone supersonic for the first time since Concorde, after a successful test flight in New Zealand. Dawn Aerospace's rocket-powered plane will eventually be used to launch satellites into orbit and give daily access to space, according to the company. This achievement signifies a major step toward operational hypersonic travel and daily space access, establishing rocket-powered aircraft as a new class of ultra-high-performance vehicles, said the company in a statement. The test took place on 12 November near Mount Cook in New Zealand's South Island. The plane, called Mk-11 Aurora, surpassed the speed of sound, reaching Mach 1.1 and 82,500 feet, according to Dawn Aerospace. Mach is a unit of velocity relative to the speed of sound, so Mach 1.1 is 10% faster than the speed of sound. This achievement highlights the immense potential of rocket-powered aircraft to achieve performance never seen before, said Stephen Powell, chief executive of Dawn Aerospace. Aurora is designed to fly to the edge of space twice a day once it is in operation and will reach speeds of Mach 3.5 during ascent and re-entry, according to the company. After the supersonic passenger plane Concorde landed for the final time in 2003, it appeared the days of super-fast travel were over. The plane was loud, causing a sonic boom whenever it passed the sound barrier, and expensive to run. However, multiple companies are working again to get passengers across the Atlantic in just a few hours. NASA and Lockheed Martin, for example, have developed the world's first quiet supersonic aircraft that creates a sonic thump instead of a boom. After testing it over airbases next year, the crew behind the Quest mission will fly the X-59 over American towns and cities to see if the communities respond or notice the sonic thumps. If it all goes according to plan, they will submit all of their findings to the regulators in 2030 so a new age of quieter supersonic travel can begin.